Hi guys. So I think my last video about touching your roots up was helpful for a few of you, which is great. I know some hairdressers are probably thinking, why are you telling people to do this? It's not a good idea. But I just figure, it will help people out that are super desperate, and I'd much rather you follow my advice than try and wing it on your own. So what I wanted to do this time is just show you I could do with trimming my fringe. So I'm going to show you how I do my fringe, and then I'll just show you a quick one on the head as well for those people that have got slightly shorter fringes. But what you want to remember is if you've had your fringe done before in the salon, the first thing to do is you basically want to find the section that they've put in already for you. So you basically want to go through, mine's quite easy to find, and just pick out the bits that have been previously cut before. And if you've got it right, you should be able to see the section, like it should be a nice tidy section. So sometimes, you might need to take a bit of it out, because you just want to make sure that that section is nice and neat through there. And also just be a bit aware, you don't want to get it too wide, unless you want like a super wide fringe that comes like, right the way back. Just make sure that if you pick up a bit and it looks like it hasn't been in your fringe before, then it hasn't. So let it go, don't cut it in as well. And what you want to do, if you've got any like little clips like these, I'm just going to clip my hair out of the way. I don't want to cut, so this is going to stop me from cutting any pieces that I don't want. Obviously, if you don't have any of these clips, then just, put it back in a ponytail or something. So ideally what you want to do as well is you want to be able to not do this in one go. So I'm just going to section mine off in half and pin that bit back. Now with my sort of fringe isn't like a proper fringe. I like it really long, almost sitting on my nose, so that it just makes the little flicks on the sides. It just gives me a bit of shaping in around the front, but I haven't cut it in for ages, so it definitely does need doing, and the ends are really bad. So what you want to do, get your scissors. I mean, obviously, I've got professional scissors, but as long as they're not, big fat blunt scissors, you can always, if you're super dedicated, get some cheap hairdressing scissors, like training scissors. It's literally just to keep you going for like the next couple of months, hopefully, anyway, so you shouldn't need to do this again. But anything, other than big fat scissors will be fine. I obviously don't want to hear if you're using nail scissors, because it makes me cringe, so keep that to yourself if that is what you are doing. But anyway, so what you want to do is make sure you keep your hair down flat to your face. So if you start doing this so that you can see what you're doing, what that's going to do is it's actually going to start creating a layer in your fringe, and you'll find that the top bit will sit shorter than the longer bit, because the minute you start angling it up, it changes everything. So even though you might not be able to, it might not feel nice doing it like this, you really want to make sure that you keep it nice and flat to your head. So what I'm going to do is, with mine, I'm literally just going to cut straight along, but I'm not going to do it blunt. The minute you commit and go blunt with your scissors, it's really hard then to break it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut upwards, so keeping it nice and flat. I'm going to take about that much off here, and I'm just going to cut up like this. So making sure you take it in tiny little bits. My scissors need sharpening so bad, they sound awful. But luckily it's only my fringe, so it's fine. So I've done that first bit. Once I've done that bit, I'm going to move on to the next bit. And we're just keeping an eye, remember what you're bringing in. And then you should be able to see where you've cut to. So I'm going to take that section again, keeping it nice and flat. and I'm going up again. Obviously, if you do normally have a super blunt fringe, then, you know, if you're happy to, you know, commit and go cut right the way across, then do. But I like mine to look a bit softer, so I'm not going to do that. So just check it out. I wear my hair quite far over on one side, so when I cut mine in, it doesn't look like it's going to sit right. But then once I put my parting in, it's fine. So obviously just work with your parting. So now this bit, I'm going in again. A bit more needs to come off this bit. You should be able to see where you've cut before. It should be much thicker. I'm going to see if I can show you that. So can you see where it's thicker? That section that I've just cut. So again, coming right the way down. As soon as I get to that point, I'm going to stop and I'm going to cut up. And, you know, if you like a softer fringe, the more random you cut that bit there. Try and not make it too perfectly straight, because you don't want to end up with a big block line through there, and then these little bits as well. So once you've done the first section, it should be much easier for you to see. And obviously, like, less is more at this point. Cool. So once I've done that, just flatten it down a little bit, because sometimes it can go a bit fluffy. Check the ends. I'm going to let these side bits down now. And that's my little fringe trim for me. I just like it just so I've got little bits of something down now that I can wear my hair up. It's just nice to have a little bit of something there. Obviously, some people find these fringes like uber annoying though, because they are obviously meant to look like they've grown out quite a lot. So it's almost like a grown out kind of fringe. But it is a really nice way of doing it. If you want to, and you do have texturizing scissors or thinning scissors, you can always go in at this point and feather it out a little bit. But I actually quite like mine to look a bit heavier, because the rest of my hair is a bit softer where it's just broken. But that's me doing my one. Right, so now I'm going to talk you through how to do a fringe trim on a normal straight across, a bit shorter fringe. So same as how I did mine, what you want to do first is you want to find your section. So if I show you this, so you want to make sure you find where the fringe has already been cut in. If you get like random long bits in it, then they're not meant to be there, so you just need to click them back and start again. Normally when I cut a fringe in, I tend to do it to like a point in the middle, just so that the sides aren't as heavy as the middle part of the fringe. So just keep an eye out on that sort of sectioning if you know, if you're one of my clients especially and you're trying to tidy it up. So what we're going to do first, ignore my husband gaming in the background, is we're going to section the hair in half like I did on mine and get it out of the way. And just remembering again, just to keep it nice and flat to the head. So you obviously know how much hair you want to, you know, cut off. If you need, like, if you feel like it's super long, take like an inch. If it's not so much, you know, just play it little bit by little bit, because obviously you don't want one of those fringe disasters of cutting off way too much hair. So I'm going to take a slightly smaller section. And I'm going to start in the middle. So just forgetting about any little side bits that might come out at this point. So I'll start in the middle, and I'm going to point cut again. If you're used to having a blunt, really blunt fringe, and you know that you like it to be really blunt, then obviously at this point feel free to cut straight across. But I would always normally recommend to point cut it if you're doing it yourself, because then it's just a bit easier. So coming across and doing the side ones, bringing the sides in, keeping your hands nice and flat. Like that. It's really hard to see if it's straight. And any little bits, if you see them, once the hair is sitting, you know, how it naturally wants to sit, you can just trim them off. Once you're happy with that length, this is now what you're going to bring the rest of the hair down to. So again, don't do it all in one big hit. Take little bits at a time. Start in the middle again and keeping it flat to the face. Now remember what I said, if you're trying to look up whilst you're doing it and you start doing this with your fringe to be able to see what you're doing, you are going to start putting a bit of more of a layer in there, which can sometimes look a bit weird. So, you know, just to get rid of a little bit of the length for now, just try and keep it flat to your face. This is literally just to keep you going, so it's nothing, you know, don't go crazy. And just let it, you know, just bounce up a little bit. And by doing it a little bit at a time, you're not going to get that surprise of, you know, having cut it too short in one go, like what you see some videos on YouTube. And now I'm going to do this last bit in one section. Keeping out any long bits. It's much easier to do this as well if your hair is wet. So I'd always maybe just like wet it down, spray it down and do it that way. And obviously just bear in mind, if your hair is soaking wet, when it dries it is going to be a tiny bit shorter. So just remember that when you're doing it as well. But it's just a bit easier to hold the hair. I mean, this hair's slowly started to dry a bit now, so. And also, just bear in mind, if you have any little flicks, you know, in your hair, natural little cow's lips, anything like that in your parting or anything, and just be aware of them, because if you pull down on it too much, it might look straight at the time, and then when you let it dry, it will ping up way too much. I'm just going to let the rest of that down now. It's just sitting on our eyebrows, which is quite nice. But you can see even on this head, this side, it's got a little bit more of a flick where it's starting to dry out a bit more. But once it's dry, it will be nice and straight. So there you have it. Just a quick video on how to do your fringe. But yeah, there you go. I hope you're all staying safe, looking after yourselves, and I might do a little video of like curling hair maybe tomorrow, just to keep me busy. And again, it's another thing that a lot of people ask us. So yeah, I might do that. I might do a little curling vid tomorrow. But there you go, little fringe trim. Cheers, guys. Bye.